you have literally a chance to change your life. If you do nothing, you have a 0% chance to change your life. If you do this, you have a full chance to change your life. So where do you want to go from here? Is it Joran or Yoran? Want to double check?
Balazs, it's Joran.
Yoran. Good to
Yes.
see you, brother. I love the beard, man. It's badass. All right, let's have a chat. So, my first time putting a question on here since I started this program. It's about time, man. We've been waiting on you. My questions is about creating urgency for your lead on the coaching call to why they should start now instead of in a couple of months. Yeah, perfect. Let's talk about this. I'm going to add you a little pin. I think Ali will just kind of naturally pop off here in a second. Um, so I'll tell you a quick story about this. When I did door-to-door sales, I was the guy who interrupted everybody's day. Okay, I came to your house, you were busy cleaning the house, cooking food, playing with the kids. Everybody's got shit going on, you know, that nobody's waiting for the door-to-door guy to like show up. So I was constantly this annoying interruption in people's day. All right. So naturally, the second it happened, they were coming to the door with an excuse. I'm busy because, or I'm about to do this, or you know what I mean? It wasn't like, hey, welcome. I got all this time for you. So in the beginning, it really messed me up because I was never welcomed. It was very rarely positive. And so it was imagine just like the door opening and immediately the energy, the body language, the tonality was like, leave me alone. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like a fun job when nobody likes you or wants you there, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
I was like, oh man, this kind of blows. And so then what I learned how to do is to take the reason why they wanted to get rid of me as the exact reason why they should do it now. And this messes you up. You know that karate when someone tries to throw a punch at you and you just redirect the energy and they do like a flip. I forget what it's called. But like you don't even have to hit them. They're like hitting themselves. It's kind of funny. Like, ah, and there's a big dude, and the guy's like, and he just like flies off a cliff or something. Yeah, Aikido, that's the one. I think that's amazing because it's like you did it to yourself. I just redirected the energy and you're gone. So this is kind of the same thing when it comes to handling objections with what your question is. So back to my example, someone would say, "Hey, now's not a good time because we're just having dinner." Everybody said that every single day. And I'd be like, "Hey, I hear you. But the perfect time to get, this amazing deal is while you're eating dinner because you can eat, I can talk. If there's a little bit of extra food, you can give me some, but I'm going to save you like $600 in the next year on internet TV service." So immediately I just went, Aikio'd that shit, went right to the next step. They're confused, being like, I just told you to get lost. I'm eating dinner. And now you're still talking, telling me that it's perfect that I'm eating dinner. I'm confused. And then I would get the sale, which would be like the most hilarious thing ever because they literally told me to fuck off 15 minutes earlier and now they just bought my shit. It was so fun. And I would even get to the point where they would give me dinner. Like that was the ultimate win. I'd just be like, "What are we having tonight?" They're like, "Barbecue chicken." I'm like, "I love barbecue chicken, man. Do you guys got any extra? Hook me up." And then I would just have it on this plate. I'd close the deal and then I'd finish closing the deal and then I'd eat my food and then, and then I'd leave. It was hilarious. So back to this point is whatever they give you the excuse, right? Give me an example of an excuse that they tell you that they need a couple of months. Like what do they say?
Yeah, so the excuse they use now is that they didn't want to use the buffer they had on their saving accounts to invest in a business because if something happens, they don't have the money anymore if they invested in a business.
Hmm. So if you think about how you can reframe that for them to see it differently, then there's two things that you could do. Number one is, how would I do this? I guess it kind of depends on their credit situation if they can finance it. Um, by this point in the conversation, have you found out if they can finance it?
They should be because in Belgium and Netherlands, the credits doesn't work like in the US or in Canada, so it's
How
totally
does it
different.
work?
You just need to go for a loan at the bank. You
And they
can't
give it to you?
you can't use your credit card for to start your. company. You have to go to the bank to request a loan and to see whether you can loan it, depending on your wage check and if you already have other loans and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's called your debt to income ratio. That's the same here too. Uh, but is there a way for them to check their credit to be approved before going to the bank, or they have to go to the bank to find out if they can get it?
They have to go to the bank, but you can do it through the app of the bank in Belgium, for example. And they like in a day or two, you know when you can, if you can do the loan or not. But they
Gotcha.
didn't do it yet.
And
They did.
what about the investment for the products? Are they tax deductible for them?
Yes.
Okay. And are you dealing with mostly people who do not have
Yeah.
taxable write-offs? Like mostly you're talking to employees right now, like people
Yes.
who don't have that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would probably change your sales conversation a little bit. So by the time they have this objection around the savings, you already have the perfect comeback with the response. So you need to find out earlier in the conversation if that they currently have any tax write-offs available to them. Now you know the answer is going to be no, but you don't want to assume it. You want them to tell you that.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
can say something like this. Right now at the moment, how much of your expenses are you writing off? See how I'm assuming you are able to write it off the way I'm
Yes.
asking?
Mhm.
So how
Yeah.
much of your expenses are you currently writing off? They're going to look at you like zero, man. That's the point. You want them to do that. And then you'd be like, "Oh, you don't have write-offs? Oh my God, you're missing out. Let me show you how to get a bunch of write-offs. This is so exciting." And they're like, "What's a write-off? How do we do that?" Right? So that's the setup. So you're basically saying, "You have this already, right?" They're like, "No, what are you talking about?" Oh, and so that is going to be one of the major pillars that you're going to close everybody because you're having them walk into this thing. They don't have write-offs. You don't have write-offs? It's one of the greatest things ever. Right? So that's how you do that. Then the next part is around um, what is your current debt to income ratio for financing opportunities? Do you think that you have a high likelihood to be approved for a loan to start a business? Yes or no? So that's another question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because someone who manages their money well, pays their bills on time, doesn't have a bunch of debt, doesn't have a bunch of loans, they're going to be confident to be like, "Oh yeah, I would get approved no problem," right? If they kind of go, "I'm not too sure," chances are they're full of crap and they know that they suck at managing their money and they're probably not going to get approved. But someone who knows their financial situation is like, "Of course I will," which is great because then you can use that again a little bit later. So those are the two things I would make sure that you're bringing up before you get to that final objection. And then the last thing is like what I was talking about earlier with using their excuse as a reason they need to buy now is, look, I hear you that you want to keep your savings so that you have some money in case something happens. But the reality of the situation is that if you don't invest that savings into a business that can pay you a much higher income, you're always going to be stuck in this trap. Like, how long have you been stuck in this trap for where your entire life you make decisions based on how much you have in savings? How many trips did you not go on because you thought you couldn't afford it?
That's a really good one. I like it.
How many experiences have you missed out on because now's not the right time because you're not making enough money? Savings is not going to be the reason you live the lifestyle that you know you want and that you know you deserve. So in my opinion, the fact that you have savings is the perfect reason to start this now because this could be the ticket that unlocks that freedom lifestyle and increases your income. And you know how I said earlier you didn't have write-offs? You know what the best part is? By you investing with your savings, you actually get to write these products off and start writing off some of your expenses, which is a huge game changer, being a business owner. And you also mentioned that you have a high likelihood to get approved on a loan. So maybe what we can even do is start you there, see if you get approved. And if not, then use the savings. But if you can get approved, then you can even have a low monthly payment plus the write offs. So now you almost have multiple ways they can start because you set it up earlier in the conversation.
Yes.
But
Okay.
but remember, the thing is they think that they're doing the right thing by having the savings and not spending the savings on a business, when in fact that is the smartest thing they can ever do with their savings is to start the business. So you need to help them with the mindset because that's employee lack and scarcity thinking.
And where in the conversation would you try to put it in? Because usually the objection comes up after I show how much the trifecta costs and the quads, after I explain those again for them. And then they usually, the vibe goes a little bit down because they see the prices. And I usually ask them how they feel with the prices. And then you can do the price cost evaluation. What's the cost for the price?
So here's how I would do it. I would do a little bit of research based on where you live and where your customers are. You mentioned Netherlands or Belgium for like potential market. Do some research around what is the tax write-offs percentages from like an actual accountant, or ask ChatGPT to give you some like ballpark numbers of how much can they write off from their rent, mortgage, car insurance, phone bill, um, flights, trips, holidays, etc. So get a percentage. That's going to be important. Um, the other thing that you want to do is you want to plant the seed earlier when you ask those questions that the majority of people that you work with, they are really smart investors because they take their savings and invest it into a business. You're going to say that earlier. So when they hear savings and really smart investors, they're going to go, "Oh, I have savings, but we haven't talked about savings yet." And then later on, when the savings comes up, they're not going to be as likely to use that excuse. They're going to be actually thinking, hey, this might be my opportunity to be a smart investor, like he said, most people that work with him. You say it earlier, right? You
Yeah.
see how the thing that you got to really remember about sales in general is that you're having the same conversation over and over and over again, and the person name keeps changing. So that's Bob, and that's Mike, and that's Steve, and that's Joe. But you pretty much have the exact same conversation with all four of them,
Yeah, true.
right? Am I right? So you
Yeah,
start to
true.
see the patterns. I say this, they say this. I say this, they say this. Now, if you get to the end of the conversation and something they say is not working for you or them, rewind. I have to say something different. So they say something different. And then when we get over here, the final result is different. We can't use the same recipe and then at the very end we're like, the bread sucks. Let me do the exact same recipe again. The bread sucks, right? You got to go
Yeah,
back and go, we need more flour, man, or we need some eggs, or I don't know, we need to change something. And then one day, this is the perfect sourdough you've ever made because you figured out the process. But every one is a little bit unique because you're in Belgium, you're in Netherlands, the culture is different, the taxes is different, the financing is different. So I can't quite give you the exact thing to say, but I can give you the framework of how to think about it. So now you've had all these examples and you keep running into this issue where savings, I don't want to spend my savings, I need 2 months. And you want to flip that and go, listen, if you do this now, not only will you be able to write off this, and this, but you'll also finally have a global online opportunity to increase your monthly income so you can replenish your savings and also have the freedom, time, location, and money to actually do the things that you want to do. Because you've been prioritizing saving and you've been missing out on life. And that
that's
and that's like one of the saddest things for a lot of people is like, yeah, I have $50,000 in savings. Is like, yeah, but you haven't done anything with your life. You haven't gone anywhere. You haven't enjoyed anything. You've been living this frugal, cheap life to save a little bit of money, and you're just 10 years older, 20 years older. And inflation just took out half of that savings, anyways, because everything doubled in price and you still didn't enjoy nothing. What kind of plan is this, bro? Like, this plan is broken. Like, you're getting nowhere with this plan. So when I do sales calls, one of the first things I say at the beginning is like, hey, do you give me permission to tell you what you need to hear to change your life? That's how I start the conversation. And the person's like, yeah, okay. And then later on, when I say, listen, what kind of plan is this? Your plan is broken. They're like, oh, they're mad at me, but they're also deep down like, he's right. This plan does kind of suck. So
yeah,
then I
true.
present the options. Option one, you do exactly what you've been doing up until this point. You don't change anything. Where do you think that's going to lead you to in the next 5 years? Have them answer. They tell you. Well, they might sugarcoat it. They might say, oh, I might get a raise or a promotion. Or they might be honest and go, probably nowhere, man. Like, this is not looking very good. Yeah, exactly. Option two is that you take that savings, invest it into a business, write off the investment itself, plus additional things ongoing, where you'll make the money back from tax write offs in the next few years. Worst case scenario, have the best health products for your family for the rest of your life, save money on bottled water, save money on chemicals, get your health back, which is priceless, and unlock an opportunity to build this business online with the training, the systems, the community, everything you need. As long as you show up and do the work, you have literally a chance to change your life. If you do nothing, you have a 0% chance to change your life. If you do this, you have a full chance to change your life. So where do you want to go from here? Option A or option B? And you just leave it there. It's not a hard close. You're not trying to twist their arm to sign on the dotted line. You just go, here's the two options. It's up to you. Choose one. And they go, well, option A, I'm going to save my 20,000 in the bank. Great, man. It's all good. I understand. I hope you have an amazing life. Keep following my social media. If you change your mind, send me a DM and I can help you change it. It's all good. Bye. Right? Because the thing that you got to remember is if they choose option A, you do not want to convince. You do not want to say, but did I mention this and did I mention that? And like, no, you want to be so like, this isn't for you. Because if you convince at this point, you're going to hate your life. This person's not going to show up. They're going to make excuses. They're always going to find a problem with everything. They're going to say that you suck. You don't support them. All the stuff that's just going to kill your energy when that's actually not true. They're just full of bullshits and excuses. So if they say they don't want this, believe them. Okay, that's fine. Wish you a great life. But if they go, all right, man, I hear where you're coming from. I think this is the right thing for me to do. Then be like, great. Would you like to go through financing or would you like to pay cash with your savings? Still two choices. Every opportunity you have to give them two options, option A or option B, the smoother it goes for you because they're not going to feel stuck where they don't know what to say. Remember, we're the ones who are getting training. The regular people don't know what to do. Right?
That's
So
true.
we're like the ninjas who train every day, and they're like the civilian who like doesn't even know what a ninja is. Right? So we cannot expect them to lead us in the conversation because they don't have the training. So we lead them and make it really easy. Do you want this or do you want this? Option A, option B. They're like, this is fun. I'm picking my future. I'm picking my life. And it's a fun experience. But at the very end of it, they're like, did I just spend 20 grand starting a business? What happened? Because it's like, it was so fun and it wasn't high pressure and you weren't trying to twist their arm. You were just kind of asking questions. They were the ones realizing their own situation. And then they made an educated decision based on what their goals are. And you're just guiding them through the process.
Yeah, makes sense. I've been using like the two options a lot more in my conversations with them, and that's been very good because I've recently a lot more signups than I had before. So I may have,
Amazing. So it's the exact same mindset or the exact same process. You just need to transfer that over into the final sales conversation. And any objection that you feel is holding you back or getting you stuck is going to be the thing that you need to work on for the next conversation. Because once you fix that, the setup earlier, the questions, how you like go through the whole thing, you will notice that Mike, Joe, Steve, Bob, and Joe in the future conversations, you're like, oh my God, it keeps working with everybody. Oh, this is fun. And then you run into another thing, right? Maybe it's got to talk to my mom or something. And you're like, oh, I got to figure out like, how do you talk to your mom? And then you figure that out. And then next it works for everybody. And then once you get that formula and that presentation, you have literally given yourself permission to print money. That's what you guys all have to remember. It's like when you learn this skill set of generating leads and closing sales, you have literally unlocked an infinite money glitch in the matrix. You just press a button and print money. Put $5 in, get $100 out. And then you're just like, at that point, it's just how big are your goals? Are you going to be happy with 50,000 a month or do you want to have 500,000 a month? Because it's up to you because you just keep doing the infinite money glitch and printing cash. That's how this business works. And then you can teach it, which creates duplication and community. And then you have like a global sales force where in my business, there's a high ticket sale every 6 or 8 minutes, no matter what I'm doing, all hours of the day, 24/7. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So this is when you think like, oh, it's frustrating. Nobody's buying. That's what you're doing is you're literally just tweaking what you say, what you ask, what they say, and you go back and you refine it, refine it, refine it, refine it. And eventually it just works from start to finish. And you're unlocking the code to the safe of Belgium and Netherlands, which is a little bit different than America, right? So it's like you're leading that I know there's other people building the business there, but for you it's like this is my market, these are my people, and I got to learn how to communicate to this audience and this culture.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, man, you got this. And keep me
Thank you.
updated, but do some research because if you can come from a place of like in Canada and America, um, you get to write off the investments as well, not as a medical technology or health product, but as a business investment. And how it works here is that the first 2 years after you incorporate a business or start a business, you can claim a loss. So you can literally say, I invested $30,000 in ads, I lost it, and write it off against your other income for 2 years. And then, so technically, in those first 2 years, if you just know what you're doing, you can have enough write offs to pay for your total investment for your quad. So then you come out without any lost money out of pocket, plus all the health benefits from the medical technology in your life. So that's still a smart decision, even if you never make a single sale and make a single commission. If you understand what you're doing, that's still smart. So then when we analyze psychology in most people's mind, this is how it works, just so everybody understands, is there's two primary things that you're focusing on. There's logic and emotion. Okay? So you buy based on logic or you buy based on emotion, sorry, and you justify with logic. So initially, when someone gets excited and you're talking about the future and the pain that they're going to avoid or the pleasure they're going to gain and all these possibilities, it's exciting, right? So they get high energy. They're like, yeah, man, let's do it. And then they get off the call and the emotions settle. And now the logic kicks in. Wait a second. Does this make sense? This is $20,000. Am I being a stupid idiot? But then it's like, if you give them the tools to be like, this is a write off. Oh, logically, thumbs up. That makes sense. I save money on bottled water, skincare, energy drinks. Oh, that's going to save me like $200 a month for the next 2 decades. Logic checks out. See what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
that's how we don't have the people changing their minds. Because if they get off the phone and they message you or call you and say, no, 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 I don't want to do this anymore, the logic did not check out in their head because the
Okay.
emotion's gone now. Now it's all logic. So we cannot make it sound better than it is and all no, it's just logic now. And the second thing is best case scenario and worst case scenario. This is another really big part of how we make decisions, but people don't know how to do this for themselves, so we have to help them. So we can ask them, be like, listen, man, I get it. When I first found out about this business, this is how we relate. I was scared too, man. I get it. But you know what I did? I took a piece of paper and I wrote down what's the worst case scenario if I do this? And I just thought about everything I could think of. And then you help them through it. You know what I wrote down? All right. Worst case scenario, I'm going to have this incredible water that I know I need in my body because I care about myself and I care about my health. So that's pretty good. Worst case, right? I get awesome water. Second case, I get to write stuff off. I never had any ability to write things off. That sounds really cool. I get money back from the government on my taxes. And if I travel, this is a lifestyle business. So technically, any trip I go on is a business trip. What? That was cool. And that's worst case scenario. See? So the worst case scenario actually sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
But then I thought about best case scenario. And it got really exciting. Because best case scenario, I could quit my job. And let me tell you, I don't really like my boss very much. Best case scenario, I could do all these really fun, cool things while I'm young. I don't want to do this shit when I'm old. Best case scenario, this. If I don't know, do you have a family? Do you have a wife? Do you have kids or anything?
No, just two huskies.
Okay, amazing. So, you're a dog dad, all that great stuff. So like I could actually buy healthy organic steak for my huskies, they instead of them eating the neighbor's dog because they're so hungry. I'm just kidding. Um, Best case scenario, I get to buy my dream home. Best case scenario, I can retire my parents. Best case scenario, if I meet the love of my life in the future and we decide to have kids, I can be there present every single day. And so as I thought about the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, I realized there was not really a risk at all. The only risk was staying in the same place, continuing to drink tap water that's full of chemicals, showering in some stuff that's got like, I don't know what in it that's going in my skin, wasting money on all these useless products, adding to the pollution of the environment, not having a plan that I'm actually excited about for my future, not having any write offs. So I realized the real risk was doing nothing and staying in the same spot. So I don't know about you if any of that resonates with you, but best case scenario, worst case scenario, what do you think? Right? So they're going like, oh my god, me too, me too. So those two things, emotion and logic, and worst case scenario, best case scenario, is pretty much how we should make decisions in our life. And that's how we assess risk. Because everybody says this is risky, right? What if you make no money? Right? That's everybody's thought process. It's 20,000. What if you make no money? That's not even the risk. You're just not thinking about the right shit. Does this
Yeah,
make sense for you guys?
that's also exactly the reason why I started, because I was living from my savings, and then I saved a little bit and went on vacation, saved a little bit, and just well hadn't the financial power to buy a house myself. So I just kept living life and escaping reality in the weekends and a lot, because I discovered this business 1 year and a half ago, and completely changed my life already. Uh,
Exactly.
I think
Do
I
you
should go
talk
a bit
about do you
my
talk about all
story.
this on your calls?
I don't think I do it enough.
You need
Uh,
to. But
because
but
I want.
here's the way that you got to do it. Feel, felt, found. Okay, it's another formula. I know how you feel. Scared, nervous, don't want to make a mistake, don't want your parents or your family to judge you. I get it, man. I felt the same way. So I already said feel, now I'm saying felt. I felt the same way. I was thinking about the same stuff. But what I found was I was able to make an educated, smart decision where I was able to pick me, what I wanted for my life. Not what my parents wanted for my life, not what my friends wanted for my life, not what society, but what I wanted for my own life. And how I made this decision is real simple. I took a piece of paper and I wrote down best case scenario and worst case scenario. And then you fill in the blanks with what we
Yeah.
just talked about.
Mhm.
So does any of that feel like resonate with you? You say that to the person, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything I missed? Is there anything on your worst case scenario list that I didn't mention? No, I think you covered it. Yeah, all right. What about best case scenario? What if this unlocks the freedom door to everything you've ever wanted? This one decision. Is it worth it to do that if the worst case scenario is tax write offs, amazing water, not adding to, you know what I mean, listing it again? Because I don't
Yeah.
really see why you wouldn't do this. And that's how or you don't want to say it like that. You say, I couldn't find a reason. So you want to talk about yourself. I couldn't find a reason to not do this. How about you? So you're really bringing a lot of humanness to the conversation because you're just like, I'm just like you, man. I'm just a year and a half down the track from this exact same conversation we're having right now. But I remember the call. I remember my fears. I remember the thoughts. I was nervous as hell. And that's probably true, right? So you're not
Yeah, it
lying.
was true.
You're
Yeah.
yeah, you're not. So you have to bring yourself back to the old you that is so easy to forget because we are always growing. Everybody on this call and everybody in this community who shows up for themselves every day, reads the books, does the trainings, takes action, posts on social media, your rate of growth, your rate of evolution is so fast that within a few months you completely forgot who you used to be. It's going too quickly. We cannot fathom how much better we're getting, smarter, wiser, experienced, developing our skills, all this stuff. You're just moving at a rapid rate. So a year and a half ago, we can very quickly forget, oh, I used to be that guy. What was wrong with me? Nothing. You were just evolving. So if we can bring us back on these calls and be like, look, man, the stuff you're saying, I get it. I said the same stuff. But here is how I came to a decision. And then you walk them through the steps. How about
Mm.
you? And you've already done the objection handling with the savings. You've already talked about the tax write offs. You've already done some of that stuff. So by the time it gets to the end, you've taken everything they've said, wrap it in a bow, and go, based on everything you've shared for me, sounds like this is the exact thing that you should do. So where do you want to go from here? Option A, do nothing. Your life doesn't change. Option B, everything can change. It's up to you. I know what I picked.
Exactly, this is the decision I made when I decided to start my business.
Yeah. And not
So,
only that, you decided to change your whole life. And you even know in the last year and a half, that's probably true.
yeah,
And now you're in GPM method. Now you're committing to even more habits. Next thing you know, you're going to be jacked and ripped with a six pack and free and traveling the world and just flexing on the Instagram and being like, what's up, bitches? That's going to be you very soon. And then when you look back and be like, wow, a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, I made it one decision that led me to all these other decisions, and it made every part of my life better. And then I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'll give you 250 grand to go back to the old you. And you're going to say, no chance, buddy. I don't need your money. So then your investment was worth more than 250 grand. You just couldn't see that 4 years ago. That's why, like, if we sold this business for like 100 grand, exactly the same products, exactly the same everything, people would still buy it. They would. But we get caught up in, oh my God, 20,000 on a quad. It's only 20,000 to change your whole freaking life. You know how much money I received in the bank yesterday, 2 days ago? $365,000
a lot of
passive
quads.
income. But only reason I'm telling you that is because my initial investment was the same as everybody else. And I'm happier, free, spend time with my kids. I've traveled the world to all the most beautiful places. And I've only been doing this 12 years and I'm not even 40. So if you told me, hey, Balazs, on March 1st, 2013, the decision that you're making to go all in on Enagic is the biggest decision you're going to make for your whole life, I wouldn't have believed you at that time because I couldn't see it. But in hindsight, I'm like, every 30 days, I'm like, Balazs, you're so smart. Thank you, March 1st, Balazs. Thank you. I get the check in the mail. I'm like, Balazs, if you would have made the wrong decision, I would have beat the shit out of you, Balazs. That's how it feels, right? You're like, thank you, you made the right call. Thank you, you made the right call. Everyone told you it's a scam. Oh, I'm so happy you saw through the bullshit. You know, that's how it feels. Like I'm just like praying to the old me, like you're the best. You're the best. I'm so proud of you. So you guys got to look at it like the same thing. Eventually, you'll be in the same spot as me, or different, like your version of it, not my story, but your story. So if you can communicate some of this stuff through the calls that you do and kill these objections, you just smash everything, bro.
Thanks. It's a lot of valuable things I can use on Thursday when I have my next call. So
Yeah.
a lot of work to do.
Thursday, bro, what? You got to get way more calls. What are you going to do between now and Thursday? You got to get more calls, man. Come on, let's go.